We're gonna go over form shooting and our form. When you get into a gym, I know a lot of people would like to run to that 3-point line and start shooting from there. And I get it, it's worth more. So there's value in being able to shoot from there. But even the best players on the planet, they all start with form shooting and they all start right next to the basket. So what I'm gonna encourage you to do is get right next to the basket to start shooting. That doesn't mean 3 feet away. I mean, we're gonna get as close as we can, and I'll show you in a little bit where I want you to be. First, I wanna go over how this is gonna look. Now, there's a million ways to shoot. So there's not one right way, but there's things that we wanna clean up in our shot to make any shot successful. That starts with our feet. If you're starting to shoot and your feet are too wide, we're not gonna have power as we get through this. We're gonna lose power because it's fighting against ourselves. If I were to jump on that, my feet wanna come in. So I'm not able to be as explosive and transfer that power all the way from my feet through my body into my shot. So we wanna make sure we're shoulder width apart, because if we're too close together in a real game, you get bumped, you're gonna be off balance, and we're gonna be falling in a lot of different directions. When you try to stop and you're that close together, your body's gonna keep going. So shoulder width apart. And what I'd like you to do is, personally, I think your shooting foot should be a touch in front, only because I really want you to line up your shoulder. If you can keep them here, but get that shoulder a little bit in front and that feels natural to you, that's fine. Personally, a little bit of a turn doesn't bother me because we're trying to line up our shooting shoulder. I'm a lefty, so for me, pointing my feet a little bit to my right allows me to line up my shoulder when I shoot. So this is the hinge that we use to really follow through. And if that's not lined up, when we shoot, we rotate through. And that's what we don't want, because that's when we miss left and right. So we're really trying to make sure that we're lined up through our shoulder so we can be consistent and every time follow right through that basket. We want our hand to finish up top. Next thing you're gonna notice right now is my elbow. Notice it's above my eye. It doesn't have to be way above my eye, but I want it above my eye. If it's a little bit below, that means we've got a flat shot and we're pushing out. I want our elbow to drive that ball up. We're not shooting with our forearm. We're shooting through our elbow, and that elbow is going to extend through the ball. Now, in order to connect this with our feet, it all comes down to our hips. So we got to make sure that we're really engaging our hips, and I want you thinking about sitting back in a chair. Most people, they tend to get low in their knees. Their knees go past their toes. When you do that, you feel all that weight in the balls of your feet and pressure in your knees. When you try to jump from that, naturally, it sends us backwards. We want to go towards the basket. So when I load, I'm sitting back and I'm feeling that weight go to my hips. So then as I shoot, I transfer through my hips, everything in my feet, ultimately through that ball, okay? Next, our shot pocket. We want to talk about where we put this ball. We want to make sure that our pointer finger and our middle finger are always pointed to the sky. When you put your hand on that ball, right now they're technically pointed to the sky, but where's my hand pointing? Not towards you, right? And if you were the basket, this would then make my elbow go out because my hand's here as I go to shoot. So we want to make sure this hand's always waving at our target. So when that ball comes in, it's lined up, those are lined up, and that allows our elbow to easily get underneath it, okay? Lastly, when we go through this, we should start to form a C when we put our hands on that ball. Or this right now is a U, right? I'm forming a U. As we come up, we get a C. And then when we follow through, I like to say it's U, C, money. That's what we're doing. We're making shots, okay? We're getting our money. So we want to make sure that that's what we're going through. U, C, and as you go through C, we don't stop at that point. I want it to be continuous, but as you kind of hit the C point, that's when you're going to feel your hips starting to get flat. And by the time our hips are flat, we went from bent to flat. That ball needs to be out of our hands. Now, I'm going to show you where I want you to be doing this from. We're not going to go way out here, okay? I want us to make sure we're right next to the basket, starting close. We don't need to get super low, but I want you to engage your hips, feel and come through as we go through this. Okay, and we're starting right next to the basket. I'm close, and I'm working on just doing everything we just went over. Okay? Make or miss, right? We keep going, and we're trying to feel this. Spot 1 is on the baseline. Spot 2, kind of wing adjacent, but still very close, coming right through. Spot 3 is going to be right in front. We're very close. Spot 4, wing adjacent again, but close. And spot 5, other baseline, okay? As we do this, remember, Just because we made a few doesn't mean we need to immediately back up. I'd like you to think about taking your time as you go through this. And if making 10 is really easy, challenge yourself to make 10 swishes. Making 10 swishes is really easy. Try to make 10 in a row. There's so many ways we can challenge ourselves just with form shooting. With pros, we have to swish them. That's the only way we can move. So if you think you're trying to get to that level, challenge yourself. Make sure you're swishing your form shots, and then as you swish them 10 in a row, move to the next one. Maybe it's just 10 makes in a row, but all swishes. Challenge yourself with it. Let's get to it.